A voice says he once believed the whispers came from above, but now knows they were only echoes from hell. It claims demons climb toward heaven, stacked one upon another, stealing fragments of what the angels say. They pass these fragments down until they reach witches, psychics, and shamans. What sounds like truth, the voice says, is really buried beneath 1,000 lies. Then it adds coldly, the death is not for him, it is for you. Sari tells Karto she has read the cards again and again, but the death card keeps appearing. Even when she reads for her clients, the same result comes up. Karto says her vision is not wrong. He tells her they live by the whispers of hell's inhabitants, and that death is the only certainty for humans. There is nothing he can do to help her. No one can. Later, Sari hears a report on the radio that a woman named Sari has just died. Confused, she goes to the accident spot and is horrified to find her own car overturned at the crash site. Before she can react, another car approaches her and strikes her. As she struggles to regain her senses, the demon's voice speaks, saying that those who trust the whispers of hell and follow magic and sorcery will be gathered with the demons they believed in, united by the lies they chose to hear. Messages from hell. At Saria's funeral, her sister, Marnie, offers condolences to her daughter, Putri, and the maid tells them that everything is ready. After the burial, Putri tells Marnie it is all right if she wants to go home, when suddenly, a board falls nearby, and Marnie tells Putri she will stay for some time as she goes to pick it up. As Putri enters the house, she is struck by a memory of Sari, teaching her how to read tarot cards. The vision suddenly feels real, and Putri follows her mother as if she is being led somewhere. She opens the door to her mother's room, where Sari used to give her readings, and sees her sitting there, shuffling the cards. Sari spreads them across the table and draws 3 cards. Putri carries the cards to her room and lays them out on her bed. She picks up one of them and sees the tower, a sign of chaos and release. A flashback overtakes her. Sari forbids her to go out and tells her to wait at home. Putri lashes out, accusing her of choosing work over her. That night, Putri's door creaks open by itself, and Chio reacts in fear. Something unseen slips inside, and Putri jerks awake as though yanked from sleep by someone. Uneasy, she gets up and opens the door, shooing Chio into the hallway. But the moment she closes it and turns to return to bed, her mother's voice calls her name, startling her. Confused, Putri steps out of her room and hears her mother's voice again. She follows the sound and knocks on Marnie's door, calling out to her, but there is no answer. As she turns to leave, a voice tells her to help her mother, and turning around, Marnie is standing there. Putri asks where she was, and Marnie says in the bathroom. Putri asks if she knocked on her door, but Marnie says no and asks what is wrong, to which Putri only replies that everything is fine. Next, the maid tells Putri that if she misses her mother, she can talk to her or to Marnie. Putri bitterly asks why she would talk to Marnie, pointing out that she never came when her mother was alive, but now shows up after she is gone. After the maid leaves, Putri receives a notification on her phone and is shocked to see it is from Sare. She dismisses it and puts the phone down, but another message arrives, again from her mother, telling her to listen. Putri replies that it is not funny, but instantly receives a message saying, "I am not lying." Uneasy, Putri sits up and calls her mother's number, only to hear a phone buzzing inside the room and find Sari's phone lying on a cabinet. Frightened, she lies back down, but another message appears. "You don't believe it's me?" Terrified, she hides under the blanket, and we see Sari's ghost sitting on a chair in her room, calling her name again and again. Gathering her courage, Putri finally looks up, only to realize it is now morning, and Marnie is doing something near the cabinet. Putri asks what she is doing there, and Marnie quickly shuts the cabinet door. Marnie then picks up Sari's phone, but Putri quickly snatches it away. Later, Marnie asks the maid to put Chio outside, but Putri insists that Chio should stay indoors. At the institute, Putri shows Sari's messages to Donnie, and one of the messages says, "Someone passed away today, so her lecturer has to go home." Donnie asks if she is sure it is not a prank, and she says she does not know if it is really her mother, but she feels as if she's watching everything she does. Later, While Putri is in class, her teacher receives a phone call and offers his condolences. He then tells the students that he has something urgent to attend to and asks them to continue their work until the lesson ends. After the teacher leaves, Putri's classmates offer their condolences and invite her to a party that night to help take her mind off her mother. Once they walk away, Putri receives a message on her phone from Sari, warning her that they want to hurt her. Later, as Putri is about to leave, a woman suddenly knocks on her car window and warns her to believe her mother's message and not to go with her friends. Despite the warning, Putri goes to the party, where Bella asks her to read her fortune. Putri says she cannot, and Bella remarks that if Sari were still alive, she would have wanted her to do it. Hesitantly, Putri agrees and draws 3 cards from the deck spread across the table. She picks up the first card, which is the 8 of Swords, a sign of negativity and helplessness. Before she can explain its meaning, the lights in the room begin to shut off one by one, until only the light above their table remains. Suddenly, a demonic voice calls out her name, and she sees a dark figure standing at a distance. Panicking, Putri grabs her bag and rushes out of the party. As she gets into her car, Putri receives a message from her mother's number saying, "I told you not to go with them." During dinner, Marnie asks where Sari's tarot cards are, and at that moment, Putri's phone vibrates. She checks it and sees a message from her mother warning her not to give the cards to Marnie, saying they belong to her alone. Putri asks why she wants the cards, and Marnie says she cannot explain yet, but that it was Sari's request. Putri argues that it makes no sense, reminding her that she never visited or spoke to Sari. Marnie replies that there is much Putri does not know about her and her mother. And when Putri asks what she wants from her mother, Marnie says she is only worried about her. Suddenly, Chio jumps onto the table, startling Marnie. Putri says she does not need Marnie to pretend she cares, then stands up and walks away. Later, while Putri is checking Sari's tarot cards, some of them slip from her hands and scatter across the floor. She gathers the rest of the deck, then turns back to pick up the fallen cards, only to find them arranged in a circle with a single card in the center. Curious, she lifts the card in the middle and sees that it is the Death card, symbolizing the end of one phase and the beginning of another. As she lies down to sleep, Putri's phone lights up with a notification, and she sees a message from Sari simply saying, "Good night." Later that night, Marnie desperately searches for Sari's tarot cards when, suddenly, she hears a noise behind her. As she steps out into the hallway, a figure slips past her, and when she turns, the figure passes behind her again. She tries to switch on the light, but it does not work, so she turns on her phone's flashlight and moves inside. While searching, she hears a sound behind her and turns around to see Sari's ghost standing there. Marnie shuts her eyes in terror, and when she looks again, the ghost is gone. A moment later, she hears Chio meow and sees the cat there. Relieved, Marnie convinces herself that the noises were only Chio. The next morning, Chio is missing, and Putri asks the maid to look for him and let her know. The maid tells her that her car's tire is flat, and Putri says she will just take a taxi instead. Later at the institute, Putri tells Donnie that she thinks Marnie threw Chio out because she never seemed to like him. Just then, Putri receives a message on her phone, and when she checks it, she sees a photo of Marnie holding Chio. She shows it to Donnie, who asks who could have taken the picture and who might be sending the messages. A girl then approaches and asks Putri to read her tarot cards. At the same moment, Donnie gets a notification on his phone and shows it to Putri, who is shocked to see that Bella has uploaded a video of her online. She confronts Bella and demands she delete the video, but instead, they begin mocking her. Bella tells her she should be grateful and shoves her, while the others laugh. Putri hears a voice urging her to fight back, so she grabs a bottle and swings it at Bella. Panicked, Bella tries to stop her, and the others rush in, trying to stop her and bring her to her senses. Soon after, Donnie steps in and grabs Putri's arm, snapping her out of it, and Bella quickly pushes her away. Putri rushes into the washroom, where she hears a woman crying. Frightened, she follows the sound and sees Sari standing inside one of the stalls, who slowly turns toward her, whispering, "Help me." Terrified, Putri steps back in disbelief, but then realizes the voice is now coming from behind her, and as she turns, she sees Sari standing there instead. Horrified, Putri squeezes her eyes shut, and when she opens them again, a moment later, Sari is gone. Later, Donnie confronts Putri and says don't tell him her mother made her do it. He says something feels wrong and that she seemed different earlier. Putri asks if he expects her to let them walk all over her, and Donnie replies that she knows how her friends are, so why would she still spend time with them? Putri asks if it is her fault for hanging out with them, and says that at least her mother warned her before it happened. As Putri boards the bus, the passengers already inside warn her not to get on. She tries to ignore them, but they keep repeating it. She finally takes a seat, but her phone vibrates with a notification, and she finds a news article about a Mandala bus accident, reporting multiple injuries. Alarmed, she tells Donnie they have to get off the bus, and when he asks why, she says her mother warned her not to take it. Donnie urges her to ignore it and board the bus, but when Putri sees the ghostly passengers, she rushes off in horror. They take a taxi instead, and on the radio, they hear news of a bus accident with 8 fatalities and several injuries. They rush to the crash site and are horrified to see that it is the Institute's bus. They realize that if they had stayed on it, they would have been caught in the accident too. Putri immediately turns to leave, and when Donnie tries to stop her, she asks what if her mother really saved them. He insists that her mother is gone, but Putri says he does not understand. She admits she did not believe it at first either, but now she feels this is the first time her mother has ever cared about her, and maybe this is her way of apologizing. Donnie says he knows she is grieving, but this is not the right way to deal with it. He asks, what if the messages are connected to the accident? And what if they come from the same source? Putri insists her mother would never hurt anyone. And Donnie asks, what if the messages are not really from her mother at all? To which Putri snaps that he does not understand and walks away. When Putri returns home, Marnie asks if she is okay, but at that moment, Putri receives a picture on her phone and sees that it is Kyo. Without saying a word, Putri rushes to her mother's room and calls out for Kyo. Instead, she finds blood on the floor. Panicked, she slowly approaches the door and swings it, only to discover Kyo's lifeless body lying there. Putri accuses Marnie of killing him, but Marnie insists she only took him outside. Putri reminds Marnie that she has disliked Kyo from the start and says she did not have to kill him. Marnie begs her to believe her, but Putri says she has proof and shows her the photo on her phone. Marnie asks where the picture came from and says something is not right, but Putri tells Marnie to stop making excuses, ordering her to leave the house and never come back. Later, Putri begins receiving multiple messages from unknown numbers asking for tarot readings. Frustrated, she puts her phone down, but suddenly a photo frame falls from the wall. She approaches it cautiously and finds a note hidden behind it. The message reads, "What's wrong with being like me? You could help people, right?" Just then, the maid enters the room and says she does not mean to interfere, but she has not been acting like herself lately. Putri asks if she knows her mother's clients, explaining that she has been receiving many messages from them ever since her friends recorded her doing a reading like Sorry. The maid asks if she can really read the cards the way Sari did, and Putri reveals that ever since her mother died, she has been getting messages that sound exactly like they are from her, and they always seem to help her. She adds that she truly believes her mother wants her to continue her work. Later that night, Putri wakes to the sound of violent blows echoing through the house. Curious and afraid, she follows the noise and realizes it is coming from her mother's reading room. She slowly opens the door and is horrified to see Sari tied up inside. Sari begs her to continue the readings, saying they want her to deliver their messages. She claims it is the only way to save her from hell. A dark figure then suddenly lashes her with a chain, and Putri slams the door shut in terror. The next day, Putri meets a mafia boss, who was once Saria's client. He tells her that Saria's readings were renowned for their accuracy, and, as her successor, Putri must predict his future child. Meanwhile, the maid tells Marnie that Putri keeps receiving messages from Sari and asks if it could really be Sari speaking to her, to which Marnie says no and explains that the one thing Sari feared most was for Putri to become a tarot reader. A voice whispers to Putri that the man brings only misfortune and urges her to tell him that his relationship will not last and the child is doomed. Suddenly, a dancer nearby begins to choke and cough up blood, but in reality, a demon is strangling her, and horrified, Putri grabs the cards and runs from the room. As Putri gets into her car, she gets a message from her mother asking, "Why didn't you deliver the message?" She turns the key in the ignition, and in the side mirror, We see Sari sitting in the back seat. Later, Marnie searches Sari's reading room and discovers a diary listing Sari's client's contacts. Meanwhile, a fly crawls into Putri's ear. She tries to shake it out, but her expression suddenly changes, and she overhears Marnie speaking on the phone with Carto, one of the names from the diary. Suddenly, a photo frame crashes to the floor, startling Marnie. She picks it up, places it back on the table, and stands up to look outside. When Putri asks, "Didn't I tell you not to touch my things?" and then suddenly lunges at her. Marnie narrowly dodges the attack and fights back as Putri comes at her again. However, Putri overpowers her, hurling Marnie aside. Putri then climbs onto the table and tries to kill her, but Marnie grabs her wrists, struggling to hold her back, and desperately trying to bring her to her senses. Despite this, Putri manages to stab her, but moments later, she suddenly jolts awake. In panic, Putri runs back to the room, only to discover the truth. It was not a dream. Marnie is gasping for breath, and Putri's hands are smeared with blood. Later, Marnie is taken to the hospital, and when the maid returns home, she asks Putri if she is all right. Putri says she still does not understand why Marnie came to stay with her, to which the maid explains that Marnie told her she came because Sari had called her and asked her to protect Putri. Putri asks, "Protect me from what?" And at that moment, a text from Sari appears on Putri's phone. "Don't believe her." The maid continues, saying that Sari had forbidden Marnie from telling Putri everything. Another message appears. "She is lying. Run." At the same time, Putri hears a whisper repeating that she is lying. Panicked, Putri runs as the maid begs her to stop, but she drives away, and the camera reveals Sari standing silently inside the house. Putri stops at a red light when her phone chimes with a message from Sari, "Turn around and come home." She angrily throws the phone aside, but freezes when she sees Sari standing in the road in front of her, and another message appears, "Why are you afraid of me?" Frustrated, Putri grabs her phone and throws it out of the car, then slams on the accelerator and speeds away. Putri rushes to her institute to meet Donnie, admits she was wrong, and tells him everything that has been happening. Donnie asks what they should do, and Putri says she does not know. Just then, Donnie's phone chimes. He checks it and hands it to her, and Putri is horrified to see a message from Sari. "Why are you scared?" "It's me, your mom." Confused, she looks up and freezes in terror because Donnie's face has changed into Sari's. Staggering back, Putri turns around and sees that everyone around her now has Sari's face. She runs to her car and starts the engine, only to see the words "Come home" written in blood across the windshield. She turns on the wipers to clear it away, but suddenly, the radio switches on by itself, and the maid's voice is crying for help. Putri shuts it off, but it turns on again, and this time, a cold voice orders her to come home. Reluctantly, Putri returns home and finds 3 tarot cards scattered on the floor. One by one, she picks them up, and as she lifts the last card, the door in front of her slowly creaks open by itself. Trembling, she steps inside and sees an inverted pentagram drawn on the floor, and on the bed sits Sari. Putri kneels and looks under the bed, and what she sees are not human legs, but those of a demon. She slowly straightens up, and now her mother is sitting there again. Sari calls her name and asks what is wrong. She rises and moves closer, gently asking if Putri wants to help her. Frozen in fear, Putri watches as Sari picks up the tarot card box and says, "It's me, Mom," asking, "Don't you want to help me?" Putri runs for the door, but it slams shut. She desperately tries to open it, but it does not move. She asks what she wants from her and insists that her real mother would never do this. But Sari steps closer and whispers her name, and in no time, Putri falls under her control. The door then creaks open, and Putri calls out for the maid. The maid rushes in and finds the room is empty, but as she looks up, Putri drops down on her, grabbing her by the throat. The maid struggles and, in panic, smashes a vase over Putri's head before running and hiding in the kitchen. Moments later, Putri appears again, holding a knife and searching for her. Believing she is gone, the maid reaches for her phone, but Putri suddenly bends down, laughing. The maid tries to escape, but Putri attacks again, and no matter how much she begs, Putri does not respond, because she is no longer herself. Just then, Carto grabs Putri's arm, but Putri turns to him and tries to attack him. Carto, however, manages to push her back, and Donnie restrains her from behind. Cardo places his hand on her head and tells the demon that this is not its place, and the girl doesn't belong to it. As he recites prayers, the demon's shape flickers through her body, and after a brutal struggle, the demon is finally torn out of her and driven away. Once Putri comes back to her senses, Cardo asks where her mother's tarot cards are. She searches through her drawer, but realizes they are missing. Cardo says they must find them immediately, and suggests they split up to search the house. As they search the house, Donnie discovers a book on satanic rituals, and Cardo explains that Sari used the house for her tarot readings, which allowed the demon that whispered to her to become rooted there. After Sari died, no one was listening to it anymore, and it grew angry. Putri finds the tarot cards, but the door suddenly slams shut, and a voice whispers that it is her fault. She then sees Sari's dress floating, and, turning around, Carto appears. Terrified, Putri collapses as Carto, the maid, and Donnie approach her, all saying this is her fault. Hearing her scream, the real Donnie and Carto rush to check on her, unaware that the demon is present there. Donnie breaks into the room and asks what is wrong, and Putri tries to explain what she saw. Cardo says, demons twist fragments of truth with lies. He reveals he once studied fortune-telling with Sari, and that they made the same pact. Sari's readings were so accurate because they came from demonic whispers, and every whisper came with a price. Now the demon is trying to lure Putri into a new pact. Carto explains that Sari tried to break free, but the enraged demons destroyed her. The tarot cards were their medium, and the only way to end it is to bury them with Sari's body. They arrive at the cemetery, and Carto and the maid step out of the car. But as they walk toward the gate, the car doors suddenly slam shut. Putri loops the seatbelt around Donnie's neck, strangling him. Donnie desperately honks the horn, and hearing it, Carto and the maid rush back. The maid cries out for Putri to stop, while Carto smashes the car window and presses his hand to Putri's head, snapping her out of it. Putri finally comes to her senses and breaks down, apologizing to Donnie, but Donnie tells her he just wants her to be herself again. Carto then tells the maid and Donnie to stay in the car and asks Putri to come with him into the cemetery. Carto and Putri dig up Sari's grave, and Carto tells her to wait while he goes to retrieve the tarot cards. However, as he climbs out of the grave, Sari's eyes suddenly open and her body slowly rises. Sari softly tells her to stay there with her, and then she lies back down, motionless. Putri opens her eyes and sees Sari lying in front of her. Sari apologizes, saying she came home late again. She then gently takes the certificate from Putri's hands and apologizes again, saying she missed another important moment in her life. Putri says it is all right, and that the only thing that matters is that her mother is here now. Sari urges her to go back to sleep, while Carto warns her not to listen. Suddenly, Putri wakes up, but Sari's body also stirs and tries to rise. Carto pins her down while the demon speaks, telling Putri she must continue the tarot readings to free her mother from hell. Putri screams that it is not her mother, but the demon promises her greater powers than Sari ever had, and claims all humanity will seek her help. As Putri cries out again, the demon shrieks, and Carto finally overpowers and expels it. A few days later, as Putri packs up her mother's belongings, she discovers a note hidden behind a framed photograph. In it, Sari apologizes to her, saying she was not always there as a parent, because she was too busy trying to predict the future. She admits she forgot that the best moments were the ones she spent with Putri. She writes that she was never a perfect person and became trapped by the messages she should never have listened to. She asks Putri to pray for her when she dies, so her sins may be forgiven, and begs her not to end up trapped the same way. Sari tells her to live a better life and never listen to any whispers that tried to disturb her path. She says none of this is Putri's fault, only the result of her own sins, and ends by saying she hopes they will meet again in heaven.